What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Hologram. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really happened this week, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Hologram closed on Friday, 12:33. So in case you do not know, there was a 1-for-40 reverse stock split effective April the 21st. I did see online some individuals not really receiving the new shares on the 21st, so some brokers must have had some issues, but by Friday it looks like all the problems have rectified itself, so everyone should be able to trade Hologram accordingly now. One thing to take note of though is by Friday there was still no options chains. So it typically takes market makers about 2 or 3 business days to launch the new chain. So by Friday, since there wasn't any options, it is fair to assume that they have no intention of launching new chains, because even leading into the reverse stock split, Hologram options were rather dormant. Like there was absolutely no activity on a daily basis, roughly like $2 or something thousand. Not really beneficial for market makers. So what does that mean, that you might be asking? Well, for those individuals that believe Hologram is a squeeze play, then you might like it, because typically shorts hedge with buying call options, so it does limit their upside. So by there being no options, essentially it's a pure squeeze play. And when I first started covering Hologram, that was kind of the circumstance. A lot of people believed it was a squeeze play and thought it was going to go to the moon, and there was no option, so shorts couldn't hedge. They essentially were naked. So at the end of the day, if you believe that it's a squeeze play, then you definitely love the fact that there is no options. So with that said though, just to give you a quick overview, Ortex does show 21.01% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 802.36 thousand shares. Friday shorts did return 102,000. So again, if you feel like 20% short interest, or potentially even a little bit higher, because it looks as though in March it was 50%. So if you believe it's a, again, squeeze play, then you never know. Cost to borrow average, side note, is 250.74%. That is a annual rate, not a daily rate. And if you do believe that there is dilution happening behind the scenes, then take this number with a grain of salt, as I've kind of expressed in the past. But what I do find interesting is that a lot of individuals are really predicting that there was going to be a post reverse stock split pump. That's actually what I did bring up in my last video, how it could essentially really go higher, and it did. As you can kind of see over the last 5 days, it was a very volatile week. But even in fact, I did post this on my Patreon as a buy signal in certain cases, because yeah, if Hologram or any other stock does move higher based on the momentum, might as well ride the wave. So at the end of the day though, I think a lot of individuals got very excited, such as this. So after hours pump, I predicted this. What they failed to disclose is that it did go to roughly around that $18 to $19 range. That was during the after hours trading. But one thing that they did not mention is the fact that it only took roughly about 2,000 shares to get to that point. So it wasn't truly a squeeze or anything. It was very small dollar amounts. And once the market did open, it kind of went down significantly. So as I've kind of explained in the past, these spikes up are not institutions getting in. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. Big money is not causing these spikes right here. That is simply dilution. A lot of people still in my comments disagree with me on that, but they did put out their 20F, and this is like definitive proof that they are diluting. I've been stating this for a year and longer than a year, and unfortunately people just, I don't know why people do that. I think in general, greed really gets into people's heads. They see the chart and think that it's going to go to these levels, or potentially even higher, that one of these spikes is going to occur again. So at the end of the day, you do whatever floats your boat, you believe what you want, and so forth. But like I said, I think that a lot of those notes, those short-term notes, are really going to wreak havoc on hologram in the foreseeable future. So let me know your general thoughts on that. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, which of course isn't positive, but I can't be the only individual seeing this as a red flag, is the fact that since December, they pumped this stock like crazy. They did so many PR blitzes, back to back to back news. They were switching what they were doing operationally to pivot. They technically, as far as I can see, they did not truly buy any Bitcoin as what they did. So they were just simply putting out news that was the hype at that moment. So they were just nothing more than a hype play. So since March the 18th, that was the last news that did come out. They put out their 20F, so clearly that was their intention. They were trying to avoid a reverse stock split or kick the can down as best as they could, but I can't be the only one to find this as a red flag that they put out probably 20 pieces of news in 1 week and then they, or in 1 month, and then over since March 18th, they've done nothing. So once again, you guys do whatever floats your boat. If this is appealing to you, then so be it. Go have at it, put your life savings and do whatever you want. I personally do feel, even if you get in at this stage in the game, you're going to lose roughly between about 80 to 90% of your equity over the next 2 quarters. For those of you that kind of disagree with me on that, I stated that right over here. I stated that here and here. Almost every couple of videos, that's exactly what I state. It's the unfortunate truth. But again, you do whatever floats your boat. If you think I am wrong, have at it. I hope I'm wrong and it goes to the moon and you guys all get rich, but the writing's on the wall at this stage. So let me know your general thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Are you a fan of hologram? Did you buy in because of individuals like this? Because I see a lot more individuals really pumping hologram when in fact they don't really know all that much clearly about stocks. I think this Steve H, so all he does is just talks about hologram, nothing but hologram. And I think there's more and more of those types of individuals. I've alluded to, I don't have evidence, but I think that I've even gone back and forth with some individuals who are accountants from the UK, and they seem to not understand even what the basic principles of the note are, let alone anything. So I find it just a little bit suspicious, possibly that maybe hologram is paying individuals to really pump. This isn't the first time that stocks have actually done that out there. There's a lot of stocks that just pay marketers and influencers and whatever else to really pump a stock, but I find it very hard to believe that anyone would be this gung-ho on hologram. So again, hopefully I'm wrong. Let me know your general thoughts. Did you buy? Did you swing trade it over the last week? Or did you buy more? What's your kind of viewpoint on all that? If you are looking for some kick-ass buy signals, though, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.